Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. We are so glad that you are here. Uh, I have been thinking about a question that I wanted to ask you guys. I feel like we haven't asked people, this is right around the lunch time for most people who are hopping on. So it may be 2 o'clock, I guess, for some of you, or 1 or 11, whatever. What did you have for lunch? Or what are you planning for lunch? We need to know this. We're in the middle of a move here, and so I feel like lunch, I'm always like, oh no, it's that time again to eat. What are we gonna have? And so I'm just curious what you guys have. So post those in the comments. Dr. Saunders, feel free to let us know what you have, what you have.
You know what's really interesting? The average family has like 4 meals like for dinner that they kind of rotate through. Like there's a total of 7. But there's 4 basic meals that they do, and they just rotate through their normal. That this is what we always do. So like for breakfast, I had a granola. Well, I make my own granola, and I love it, and I look forward to it. And in the morning, because I'm usually pretty hungry because I don't eat at night. So yeah. And so for lunch today, I don't even have a lunch.
What time is it where you are? Where are you right now?
Well, in Santa Barbara, it's 11:06.
Oh, okay. My lunch has been kind of funny. We actually went to Costco a little while ago and we got like this, what is it called? Like a buffalo chicken dip, but we just heat it up and eat it. It's low carb. And then I had a little, actually, I still have it sitting here, a little snack pack with nuts and actually there's no chocolate in it. I think it's a cranberry. I didn't really eat those, and cheese. So
nuts and cranberries and cheese.
Yeah. So that is what my lunch consisted of so far. I mean, I've been kind of eating things for a couple hours now. It's kind of weird, but how about you, Joe?
I had a grilled turkey sandwich with spinach and cranberry bread, with wild rice cranberry bread, and what else? Some kind of a cheese that was really good. So
wow, at
Amanda,
home?
Oh yeah, Amanda went overboard today. There was also wild rice soup there, chicken wild rice, but I didn't get to that. So I don't know. Some days I'm just not in a soup mood. Today was one of them. So I just ate the sandwich and went on my way.
Yeah, I got chili waiting for me at home.
I love chili. Yeah. Only thing I don't like about chili is the after effects, the fireworks afterwards sometimes.
You know what though? If you make like there's some really good Whole30 chili recipes that actually don't have beans in them. They'll use peppers and chicken broth, and you can add your own stuff. Those are really good, and those will keep you from those side effects, I think.
Ah, man, but I love the beans.
I know.
Me too. I love the beans.
We're going to chat a little bit about fiber today, I think. For those of you who are here already, we have quite a few people on right now. Today's topic is going to be really, really fun. I was thinking about this earlier. We're going to talk about gardening, the importance of gardening, why you should start, etc. And a year ago, I was planting seeds indoor for my garden. So I live in South Dakota, so we don't have real warm weather in March. So I did it for the first time. I had never done that before, but it was really exciting. It was really fun. We had a big garden last year. And I'm excited to talk about that. I know Dr. Saunders is like a pro at this. So not only does he practice what he preaches, he's one of those guys. And he actually grows his own food too. So when he talks to you about the importance of fiber and good, clean foods and ingredients, he's really doing it. He's not just saying it. And so today we wanted to talk a little bit about that, talk about gardening, eating well, etc. And so I'm excited about it. Quick disclaimer.
What do you grow? What do you grow in your garden?
Well, this year I'm actually not going to have a garden this year because we just moved, but I did a lot of fun things. I got a lot of heirloom seeds, so I actually still have them. And we did, well, a few too many tomato plants. Let's just say that. Lots and lots of tomatoes. I didn't expect them all to produce. And so that was a little crazy. We did peppers. We did spaghetti squash, cucumbers.
I love cucumbers. I put cucumbers in. I put like 6 cucumber plants in it. It was like, oh my gosh, what do I do with all these cucumbers? I was giving away cucumbers left and right. Hey, want some cucumbers? They were getting big.
That's the fun thing too, is to be able to give stuff away, or give them to your neighbors, etc. So that is just like one of the benefits of having a garden, is plus you can go meet your neighbors that way too.
Yeah. And I took all the cucumbers. My kids love pickles. And so I took cucumbers, we had a ton of them, and I just cut them up and put them in a jar. And then my kids would finish off the pickles, and I would just pour the pickle juice right in, put them in the refrigerator, and they made great pickles. It worked really well. I didn't have to do any preparation, just chop them up, put them in a jar, and dump the empty, the pickle juice from the empty pickle jars that my kids were eating anyway. So it was great.
Awesome.
I still have some of that.
Okay, let's go back to quick here to these before we get started. We're going to do two things. I want to read some of these comments about what people had for lunch, and then we're going to do a disclaimer. Okay. Aline, awesome. Tomato rollatini soup. Ooh, yum. That sounds good. Keto broccoli and cheese soup. Yum also. Okay, Joe, we got a couple soups here. Mary says, I ate Cheerios for breakfast and homemade vegetable soup. 3 soups and toast for lunch with green tea. I will have a piece of baked chicken with sweet potato and broccoli for supper. Yum. Annette, oh my goodness, you guys, I had such a good chat with Annette. I just love her. Actually, I've met quite a few of you. If you guys want to hop on a call and talk a little bit about your success with the program, I would love to meet with you. I see a few of you on here right now that I've gotten to talk with. You guys, it was super easy to chat with me, right? And it was fun. We got to know each other. We got to find out what's been working, and they'll tell you. You guys can comment in the chat and let everybody else know that they should chat with me too, because it was really fun, and that's how we get to know you guys.
Okay, kind of intimidating though, I gotta admit,
Come on.
Hey, just curious, did anybody see my dog in the background as he was doing the butt scoot? Yeah, he was like, it was pretty funny. Like, good one, Gus.
Oh, that's a keeper. We'll make sure not to edit that out.
Yeah, I gotta let him outside. I'll be right back.
Okay, so Annette says, hello, beautiful people. I am off of metformin. What? I feel great. Oh, awesome. That is so awesome. You were just going to the doctor, I believe, too. Was that right? Let's see. Deborah says, slow cooker pot roast with mild pepper. Oh, this is my husband's, one of his favorite meals, with mild pepperoncini peppers. Pepperoncini peppers. I think that's how you pronounce it. He loves that. His grandma makes that for us. Yes. His grandma makes that for us. And that is one of his favorite things to eat. Awesome, Deborah. I'm going to have to tell him about that. We're going to have to do that. Let's see. Any other meals posted in here? Okay. So I don't know who this is, but it says I'm on an 18-hour, 6-hour intermittent fasting starting today. I've had 2 poached eggs, leftover chicken soup with cabbage slices, celery, onions, chicken wings, and 2 chia toasts with butter. I skipped breakfast, just had black coffee, herbal tea all morning. Dinner will be at 6. Still having tea the rest of the day. We'll exercise after this webinar. Let's hope. You're going to do it. We know you will. I'll be okay for a whole month. Thank you, Olivia. Awesome. Chris Bowman is asking, what is chia bread? Does it have any carbs? We use egg lift, which are the egg white wraps, and those have 0 carbs. I've been seeing a lot more of those in stores lately. Are they good? I'm just curious. Let's see. For lunch, Clara had a turkey burger with mustard on a small dinner roll. Okay. I decided to stop taking insulin for a few days because of intense pain in my right buttock. So small meals, at least 2 to 3 times a day. The pain is practically gone. Good for you for figuring that out. That's awesome. For dinner, I will have a salad, kale soup, and a piece of broiled chicken.
That was literally a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I had to say something.
And Dr. Saunders, she's asking, do you have any advice or suggestions for that?
for
I
the
think
pain.
I think she just figured it out for herself.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And so measuring your blood sugar, she didn't mention what her blood sugar was, but keeping track of that and eating small meals is a great way to keep your blood sugar down. And if you go on phase 1 of the program, that will help as well.
Let's see, Roy, BLT salad with Italian dressing. Yum, that sounds delightful. Let's see. We have some questions in here too. So, okay. Okay, Rod wasn't happy that we were talking about food, I guess.
Bye,
so.
Rod.
Sorry, Rod, but this is stuff that people enjoy, and we do too.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm going, dang, I haven't had lunch yet.
Okay, all
Went on
right.
for everyone, apparently.
Okay, so with that, let's do a quick disclaimer here and talk just mention, let's mention that.
Okay, so all of the things we talk about here are for general instruction, general use, general information, and it's important that you decide or figure out if that information applies to you, and then apply it properly. And sometimes that may require that you work with somebody, an expert. Even though I don't believe in experts, I don't think there's any such thing. But there are people who think they're experts. So if you need help, then you can ask around, and if it's your next door neighbor, that's fine too.
That's good.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let's chat about gardening, growing your food, etc. I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Saunders to share his wisdom.
Okay, well, let's start from why. Why would you want to grow your own food, for heaven's sakes? Because there's so much food around. There's food everywhere. And you can't avoid food. Gosh, man, if you just quit buying food, then food would show up somewhere, because it always does. The problem is it's always junk food. So you have to buy food. So one of the things that I wrote in the Home Cures That Work, we were talking about sunshine, is that nobody gets healthy these days by accident. Now think about 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. All the food was natural. That's all there was. You take the wheat, you grind it up, that's your flour. You don't get any white flour, you just get what's there. Vegetables had to be fresh, or they weren't worth eating. So you had to eat fresh vegetables. You had to eat fruit off the vine, and you may be able to squeeze some orange juice when you had a whole bunch of oranges, but that's all, and that's very limited for a short period of time. It wasn't like processed and concentrated and all the sugar concentrated, and 24 hours a day you could drink it. And you didn't have everything available all year long. Apples come ripe on the tree. So August, you start eating apples. By October, they're gone. You don't get any more apples. You're done for the whole year. So what do you eat then? Well, nothing's growing. I better go shoot a deer or something. And then you get what? Grass-fed, high omega-3 meat, right? It's wild game is actually excellent meat, and it's good for you. So the food that you're eating is always going to be good food. Well, unless it was rotten and all that other stuff. And when you get fermented foods, you're getting real bacteria. You're getting probiotics in your intestines, and everything is naturally fermented and naturally done, because you didn't have any other options. And everything that had to be done, if a hole needed to be digged, you didn't get a tractor. You actually got a shovel and you dug a hole. When we have to clear your sidewalks of all the snow, you actually had to use a shovel to shovel it off. You didn't have this walking behind it, or mow your lawn or whatever. So if you think about the way human beings have lived for millennia, it's all things that were natural and healthy, and a good way of doing it, and the exercise. And you got sunshine every day. And all of the good things in life happened because that's the way you had to live. That's just what was available. Well, now nobody can do that on purpose. You don't have to ever get sunshine. In fact, some people don't. Remember Michael Jackson carrying his umbrella around, putting a hat on, slathering sunscreen on. Some people, their skin never touches the sun. And in Australia, that's what they tell you. Don't ever let the sun directly touch your skin. And then exercise. Who needs to exercise? I can lay around all day. And if I want to dig a hole, okay, hey, Joe, can you bring your tractor over and dig a hole for me? It's a totally different life. And then food, you can live your whole life and never eat a vegetable. I know, because one of my son's friends is like a total butterball, and he will only eat pasta. That's it. Pasta with butter. He won't eat anything else. He hates vegetables. He won't even chop anything in the pasta. Like I'll make pasta with asparagus or something, and put peppers in it. No, just the pasta. So the way we eat can, and in fact, most of what's available is going to be stuff that is processed. So here you have something now that we can do in gardening. And what does gardening do? It gets you out in the sun. You got to go and pull weeds, and you got to physically move stuff around, dig holes, get the dirt cleared out, and make your furrows. And you actually have to put your hands in the dirt and get dirty. What does that do? Well, there's something called grounding, and if you're actually grounded, if you touch your hands in the dirt, that's healthy. So the sun is healthy, the physical exercise is healthy, the grounding is healthy, and then the end result. So one day I was sitting there with my garden, and I was pulling weeds, and I'm going, this requires a lot of effort for me to keep this garden. I could go down, and it's cheaper for me to go down to the store and buy the stuff that I'm growing here, right? And I thought about it for a second. I thought, you know what? I love my garden. I love my garden. And it's an act of love to pull the weeds, to water it, to make sure they're all working, to take off the leaves that are dying, to put them in rows properly and everything, planting them. It's an act of love. And then my garden loves me back by giving me fruit. It gives. So I give to my garden. I love my garden. And then my garden loves me by giving me fruit. And so I get peppers and tomatoes and a whole bunch of cucumbers that I have to start giving away, or squash. I grew watermelon last year, and I got one watermelon this big, just one. It was great, though. I loved it. So sometimes things don't work out. It doesn't love me as much or something. But for all the benefits that you get, people think, well, but you're getting these natural foods, and they have no pesticides on them, and they have no artificial fertilizers in them. So you're getting organic, fresh, ripened on the vine, good for you food, right? And that's the benefit. Yeah, that's the benefit, but that's only part of the benefit. That's great, and it's a wonderful benefit. But when I make a salad out of stuff that came out of my garden, because right now in the wintertime, I have cabbage. My carrots are still in the ground. I plant the carrots late in the season, and then I can just leave them there, and it's kind of like staying in the refrigerator. They stay fresh in the ground. And then I can pull them up whenever I want to make soup or something. And onions, same thing. I let the onions be there, and I pull them up and use them as I need them. And then cabbage. And so I let kale, I let it go to seed, and then it grows up a whole bunch of kale the next year. It's great. And chard, same thing. So the garden is giving back, and when I make something like a salad out of all that stuff, it's like, or a soup or something, It's like, wow, this came out of my garden. I don't know, it's awesome. I just think it's so cool that the love I get for my garden is all this wonderful food that I have.
So, so good. And I'm jealous of your one watermelon because none of mine produced. So that's a bummer. I had about 15 tomato plants, but no watermelon. So that's how it goes sometimes. And that's life. But I would agree. There's a lot of pride, I think, to, in having your own food. And I would just even spend time out there, even walking barefoot in my garden, just to be walking on the soil and, my grounding time and getting your hands in the dirt. And there's just kind of a spiritual thing, I think, with that too. And so I just really, really loved it.
Yeah.
This is good. So we've talked a lot about fiber. You're a big fan of fiber. And I think we should talk a little bit about what are some high fiber foods that you can plant in your garden.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so if you think about what fiber is, so there's four important things about the what makes up food. There's fat, and there's protein, and there's carbohydrates. But the carbohydrates are divided into sugar and fiber, and the reason is because you can use sugar for energy. Fiber is what keeps your bacteria growing in your intestines. And you know how you have more bacteria in your intestines than you have cells in your whole body. So your 100 trillion cells in your body doesn't even make up 1/10 of the number of bacteria and fungus and viruses and all the stuff that's growing in your intestines. And you got to feed them. That's really important. If you don't feed them, then you will be miserable for a lot of reasons. You will have intestinal problems, but not just intestinal problems. You get depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's disease from having bad bacteria in intestines. So they have these rats that are raised with zero bacteria. So they are no bacteria rats, right? They take a stool out of somebody who's skinny and puts it in one of the rats, and the rats stay skinny or become skinny. They take stool out of a fat person and put it into the intestine of one of those rats, and it gets fat. Your intestines determine a whole bunch about whether you have diabetes or not, whether you're obese or not, whether you have depression or not. There's a lot going on there that we're just barely scratching the surface to understand. So it turns out that a variety of fiber is the most important thing you can do for your intestines. And so if you say, well, I don't like broccoli or carrots or lettuce, or I'll only eat iceberg lettuce and nothing else. And so that you have those salads that you go to a restaurant, you say, give me the house salad, and they give you this little bowl of iceberg lettuce or something. And then you dump a whole bunch of ranch on it, and you call that a salad. And if that's all you eat, that's okay, but it's not ideal. The ideal thing is to have a variety. So if you can make a salad that has arugula and lettuce and spinach and kale, and then chop up some brassica vegetables, cauliflower or broccoli or something, then you have a variety, and then and you can make it interesting. You put radishes in there and carrots and make it crunchy, and then some peppers. My daughter loves making salads, and she just dumps a whole bunch, and she always likes to put artichoke hearts in it. And it turns out that the fiber of artichokes is awesome. It grows good bacteria. It is very important for growing good bacteria. It is a really good probiotic. So the variety of fruit and vegetables in your diet is very important. So don't just well, all I ever eat is apples. No, go berries. Look at all the different types of berries. Look at the fruit you've never seen before and go, what the heck is that? Okay, I'll try it. Do that. I'll try it. whatever it is, dragon fruit. I saw one the other day. I'm going, oh, that's interesting. I'll try one of those. Last week, I got a cactus pear. They're called tuna in Spanish, and just I only got 2 spines in me as I pulled it off, and and ate the whole thing. And it tastes kind of like a watermelon. Actually, it has kind of a watermelon flavor, but that has fiber in it that's different than the watermelon has. And watermelon is actually really good for you. It has good fiber in it. So the idea of your garden is to have, instead of making like everything cucumbers, plant a whole bunch of things in your garden. Make your garden a variety, so that you can, like, when that comes ripe, you go, gee, I didn't know that was going to grow. And then pick it and figure out what to do with it. YouTube has how to cook anything you can find on YouTube. It's awesome.
That's good. All right, I love this. Let's go ahead and get into some of these questions and see where they take us. Okay, awesome message from Sheldon. This is amazing. I've been on your program for 4 months. My blood sugar has dropped from an average of 250 or higher down to 130 presently. Could I move into phase 2 now?
No. Between 70 and 90. Yeah. Okay. So keep going. You're doing great, but it drops fast at first, and then it kind of levels out, and it's not as fast of a drop later. But the idea is not just to drop your blood sugar; it's to drop your insulin resistance, because you may find, and you can test this, after you eat, if it goes up above 120 or so, then you still have enough insulin resistance to stay on that phase 1 program.
All right. Let's see. Okay, this is from Robert. My fasting glucose jumped up to 168. I went on a 5-day fast, and it was down to under 100. I've been going on a regimen where I fast one day and then eat 1 or 2 low carb meals the next day. The morning after I eat, my blood sugar pops up to 140. Will my blood sugar ever stabilize? What can I do?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. Stabilization is, the blood sugar is never going to be stable, but yeah, so what you want it to be is in a range of, on the lower range, like 70 to 90 if it's fasting, and after you eat, it can go up to 100 or 110. But yeah, that's a really good question. So when people lose weight and get down to their ideal body weight, they're generally cleaned out of all the glycogen in their body, and they become more insulin sensitive. There's another way to do it that we've talked about a few times on here, and that is a very high fiber diet. So people who are eating all the free foods that are in the program, in phase 1 of the program, and they just live on those, where you can have all the lettuce you want, and all the kale you want, and all the broccoli and cauliflower, and living on those kinds of foods and having a very high fiber diet. And low fat diet. So if you drop the fat out and eat the fiber, then what happens is you stop being insulin resistant, because it's fat that causes insulin resistance. So that's a sort of a quick way to do it. The slower way is to just keep losing weight to get down to your ideal body weight.
All right. Let's see. Coney says, I have gone to the doctor and I got tested on both arms, and the doctor said I have carpal tunnel. Do you have anything I can take instead of surgery on the wrists?
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm not giving specific advice, but let's talk about carpal tunnel a little bit. Carpal tunnel. There's bones in your wrist, and there's a ligament that connects them, and going through the middle of that, there's several tendons and then a nerve called the median nerve. And those tendons, if they swell up, they will push against that nerve and they'll pinch off the nerve. And that's what carpal tunnel syndrome is when that median nerve is getting pinched in between those carpal bones. So the surgery is to take that, there's the carpal bones and the tendon that kind of holds the tunnel in there. What they do is they just cut that tendon off, so that it opens up the space so that you can have more swelling of your tendons in there. It allows for more swelling. It's a sort of quick and dirty way to handle it, and it's not out of the question, especially if you want to save the nerve. If it's like being pinched and the nerve is dying, sometimes the surgery has to be done. But ideally, what you want to do is decrease the tendinitis that is in the wrist. And so when you decrease the tendinitis, then the swelling goes down, and then there's more space for that nerve to go through the wrist, and the nerve will function well. So, and I think either way, ideally you want to get rid of the tendinitis. So how do you do that is the question. Why are the tendons inflamed? There's a whole lot of things involved in this, but I've had some good results by giving shots of vitamin B12. I've seen that work pretty well. Decreasing inflammation, so having turmeric, for example, or boswellia, both of which are herbs that lower inflammation. People have worn wrist braces, and if you're talking about surgery, you've probably had a wrist brace for a while. And it didn't work. So that's when they'll say, oh, you got to do surgery because there's nothing else to do. And then remember the 6-10 reset. If you're going to bed by 10 o'clock and not eating after 6, so no food after 6, go to bed by 10, then what that puts you in anabolic mode, and that decreases inflammation. Another possible thing that can be done to lower the inflammation of the tendinitis, is fasting. And that would be water fasting. And 3 days is about right. But Dr. Walter Longo, researcher in longevity at USC in California, says that 5 days is kind of the optimum. So if you do 5 days and you're just drinking water, what will happen is your inflammation, it just shuts down inflammation. It's the quickest way to shut down inflammation is fasting. So those are all the things that I've seen work in the past.
Very interesting. Okay. This is a great message from Vilo, I believe. My wife, who is out shopping right now, went from 210 blood sugar to 105 to 110 in the past 3 days. We've only been on board for 11 days.
Wow.
That is amazing. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. I mean, are you doing just the diabetes solution kit, or I can't wait to hear more about that. I would love to chat with you. So I'm going to message you actually, but feel free to comment as well. All right. Let's see. William Davenport, how are you? I've not seen much benefit from the omega-3 I'm taking. In researching omega-3 supplements, I saw that Harvard research shows that omega-3 is not very effective without assistant supplements. This turned out to be omega-7, omega-9, and krill oil. Together, omega-3 helps with mental sharpness and joint health. Omega-7 helps with skin and digestive issues. Omega-9 helps with energy, mood, and heart health. Krill oil helps with maximum absorption of all the rest. Any thoughts on this? You're a researcher, Bill. You got this.
Yeah, that's really good. So we've had a webinar where we talked about this, that the point of all of these omegas, all the different types of oils, is balance. If you have too much omega-6, then you're going to have a bunch of inflammation. That's a problem. If you have too much omega-3, you're going to shut off your immune system. That's a problem. You also have to have the omega-7, omega-9. So when you achieve balance, that's when you get that the most benefit from those omega oils. So, it's not always one thing. Dr. Jonathan Wright wrote about a patient that he had that had actually be put on omega-6 because of some chronic issues that they were dealing with. So he had this patient taking tablespoons of sunflower oil, and it worked. It relieved the problem. So yeah, the balance is really what's important.
Right. Meg said, let's see, one slice. Okay, so this must be what she had for lunch. One slice of keto bread, 6 carbs, cashew milk cream cheese, organic hemp seed, and fresh dill, one tiny organic mandarin orange, organic cherry tomatoes, radishes, organic celery, organic black tea, with half and half as a quick intermittent fasting breakfast. Lunch will be 3 to 4 hours from now. Normally, I would eat this about 90 minutes ago. Yum. That sounds really good.
Yeah, interesting. Wow. Sounds very organic.
Yeah, Meg knows all the things. She's good at this. She's got this.
Have you done a housekeeping yet as far as telling people where to go and what program we're
Have
talking
not.
about?
No, it's all you.
All right. I'll do a quick little commercial message here. So this is the Diabetes Solution Kit, which is our best-selling #1 program for reversing type 2 diabetes using natural remedies. The three-phase program that we've been talking about, lowering our carbohydrates for as long as it takes to get your blood sugars back down to normal. 20 grams or less of net carbohydrates, and that's where fiber comes in, because if you eat 30 grams of carbs, but 10 of those grams are fiber, then you've only had 20 grams of net carbs. So also, if you're watching the replay of this right now on YouTube, you can join us live by going to bartonwebinar.com and registering to join us. And we try to reserve this for customers of this program. And so this is the handy printed version workbook that has lots of good recipes and grocery lists and supplements and meal and exercise planner and all that good stuff. So this is the 10th edition, 10th or 11th edition. I think, yeah, 10th edition that we published. And you can find all of our products and other things on bartonwebinar.com. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
That was good. All right. I had a really good question here. Okay, Roy said, I would like to know how to measure blood sugar without pricks. Urine strips, or are there other options? And do I need a prescription for a blood sugar test kit?
Well, you don't need a prescription. You can get blood sugar test kits, those glucometers. You can get, any pharmacy practically, and they don't require a prescription. But if you want the continuous glucose monitor where you don't have to do finger sticks, that sounds like an ideal situation for you. Now, see, if I had type 2, I would push my doctor to prescribe one of those, and I would even pay for it, because then they're just amazing. They're not totally accurate, but in other words, but they're within a range. So 10 or 20%. Okay, so if you have continuous glucose monitoring, and you can see where your blood sugar is going, and you say, oh, whenever I eat this, I see it go up, but when I eat this, it stays low. And so for phase 2, I think it'd be so much better to have that CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. So that may be your answer, Roy. I don't know if that's if that's what you're looking for. That's what I would do. By the way, urine, you mentioned urine. The urine, it only spills in the urine when you're high, like over 300. So, well, at least over 200, but usually quite a bit higher than that. So the urine strips aren't useful unless you're having a really bad problem with diabetes.
Okay, some more information from Vilo. He says, again, his wife has been on the program. They both have been on the program for 11 days. Her blood sugar went from 210 to 220 down to 105 to 110 in the past 3 days. And he has gone from 175 or 185 to 130 to 145. They're both on phase one, and they have been doing the program very strictly. Both of them are still taking metformin, but it's starting to cause bathroom issues. What could they do?
Okay, that's one of the side effects of metformin is actually a problem. You can lower the dose. Sometimes that side effect will go away, but metformin blocks the mitochondria from making energy. And so some people are really sensitive to that and just can't take metformin. And if you're having a lot of problems with metformin in your intestines, then you're probably having the same issue with your muscles, but you may not be aware of it. In other words, it blocks the energy for the muscles too, and the liver. And so checking your liver enzymes, checking the CPK, making sure you're not having muscle breakdown. And you may need to you may need to stop metformin and use something called berberine. Berberine is the equivalent of metformin in an herbal form that doesn't cause the damage to the liver or muscles, or it doesn't usually cause intestinal problems either.
Okay. Someone is asking, I've read before that it's not good for digestion to eat fruit and vegetables at the same meal. Is there any truth in that?
Okay, great question. Okay, so I've been researching this, and the fruit and vegetables is probably okay. And by probably, I mean I'm pretty sure it is okay. The problem is when you mix fruit that has a lot of sugar with fatty things, so things like meats or sausages or chicken or what those kind of things. So a lot of people are putting fruit and meat together, and that's really not a good thing. So you don't want high protein in fruit. You don't want high fat in fruit. So if you look at natural foods are naturally that way. You have protein and fat together. Yeah, they often come together, but you don't have carbs in protein, not much. You have, everything has a little bit of protein in it. But so grains, for example, and nuts have some protein and carbs. Beans have some protein and carbs, but really high protein things like eggs and meat and all that are not. They don't have sugars in them, and there's a good reason for that, I think, and that is digestion. It requires a lot of acid to digest proteins because you have to denature the proteins. You have to open them up in order for the enzymes to cut them into pieces. And sugar, like fruit, will will suppress the stomach acid. So so when you're putting like a lot of barbecue sauce on your chicken, that barbecue sauce has a lot of high fructose corn syrup in it. And what that does is when you're eating it, the taste of sweet, the cholecystokinin, the hormones that are produced that cause you to make stomach acid suppress the stomach acid so you don't digest the proteins as well. So actually, what you really want to separate is not fruit and vegetables. Fruit and vegetables are actually fine together. They both have carbs, they both have fiber, and you can pretty much eat them well together. It's you don't want to mix the carbs with protein or carbs with fat. Those are the two things that are messed up.
Okay. This is from Dave and Cindy. I want to take Synachroma twice a day. Should I take 2 in the morning, or is it best to take 1 in the morning and 1 at bedtime? Thanks.
2 in the morning with food is probably a better choice.
Okay. Let's see. Clara says, please tell me more about how fats cause insulin resistance. I used 3 to 4 ounces of half and half in my coffee for several months, have muscle cramps and pain.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So any kind of fat that you eat, even an avocado, or yeah, like creamer in your coffee or whatever, um, it blocks the uptake of sugar into the muscles. So it prevents the sugar from getting into the muscles. It blocks the insulin receptors. And that has been shown within an hour. You can show the insulin resistance index goes up dramatically after a high fat meal. So avoiding that fat and sugar together, that's really an important thing.
Okay, someone says, how about hydrochloride?
Hydrochloride? What
Uh,
hydrochloride?
Must have been in response to what you were just talking about. Now I can't remember before that.
There's well, hydrochloride is like a part of, there's something else that goes on there.
I can't remember what we were just talking about with that one. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll find out. Let's see. Okay, we already did that one. Meg had a good note here. When you're gardening, you can learn companion planting and don't forget about herbs. She recommends only getting organic seeds, plant every season, and try to have your garden face south.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, herbs. I got some what is it? German oregano growing in my garden. And oh my gosh, that stuff is really good. It's not like really potent like the oregano, the Italian oregano. It has a good flavor without being strong. So you can put it into soups and salads, and it's actually really good. Yeah, herbs are great.
Okay, let's see. Aileen recently got her CGM, and it is a godsend, so that is interesting. And let's see, she keeps the reader on her TV table in her living room, and whenever I go to the table, she just takes a reading. It's wonderful, she said. There was another note here too.
It's wonderful. The CGM, in case you don't know what that is, that's the continuous glucose monitor. It's a patch that you put on. It has a little teeny needle in it that goes subcutaneously, and then you just kind of wave your phone over it, and the phone picks up the last whatever the readings.
Oh, I love this note. I love the synchronization of your webinar. We just moved in to a hobby farm in Ontario, just starting chickens next week and sheep's later. Gardening, I have no experience in it, but with this webinar, you just open doors to new possibilities. Thank you, Dr. Saunders.
Oh, good, yay.
Awesome. Okay, here's a question from Don. What is the value or the relationship between the US blood sugar and the Canadian? It says a reading of 10 in Canada equals what in the US?
Okay, so 10 is pretty high. That's in the 200s. Ideally is between 4 and 5 in Canada. So that's the 70 to 90. 70 to 90 is around 4 or 5. 10 is pretty high. It's up in the 200s. Yeah, so I don't know the exact, but you can look it up. I mean, on Google, you can look up the difference. One of them is milligrams per deciliter. The other one is millimoles per liter, and they're just. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Is there a correlation, Dr. Saunders, between like the A1C numbers and the Canadian blood sugar numbers? Because it kind of sounds similar.
Yeah, they do sound similar, but that's not it. No, the blood sugars are actual. It's the amount of glucose, whereas A1C is the glucose attached to red blood cells. So they're different.
Okay.
I've heard that before where people have mixed up those numbers.
Yeah.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Cinechroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking Cinechroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated Cinechroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With Cinechroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using Cinechroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get Cinechroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, Cinechroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
Was my unmute? Okay. Meg had mentioned too, just some recommendations. I'll post them here in the chat too, in case you guys didn't see it, but just talking about different shoes to wear in the garden and what grounding is, etc. She's full of information. So I'm going to just share this in the chat so you guys can all read that. And then we're just running out of time here. We have another question here from Lisa. I've recently been told by my pulmonologist to take PPI and H2 to prevent possible microaspirations. I am 63 and diagnosed with very, very early ILD without any symptoms. I'm concerned with the Cinechroma and Nervala and other supplements that they will not be absorbed well. Also, the good nutrients I need. Your thoughts?
Okay. I don't know what ILD is. ILD. Okay. So, but the thoughts on the other thing, on whether you should take those medications or not, consider other options. And that is, most people who have a lot of acid reflux actually have low acid. It's not from high acid. So, so that's why taking the acid blocker, and then the hydrochloride is acid. You're actually adding acid to your stomach. So you're taking with a meal, trying to get some kind of proper acid production during the meal. But there's more to it than that. That's not enough. You also need the enzymes to be produced. So a better way to do it is to have space between your meals. And have, if you eat breakfast at 7, wait 5 hours before you have the next meal, and then 5 hours before the next meal, and then don't eat anything after 6 o'clock, and so that your stomach is empty when you go to bed. And that is a much better way of managing that kind of problem. So that's what the 6-10 reset is very useful for that.
Okay. Let me look here. More questions. Linda is asking, how do you get your blood sugar level down immediately?
Immediately. Well, don't eat anything. Insulin will get it down immediately. So people inject insulin for that purpose. As far as like other supplements or something, there isn't anything that's going to work immediately. Yeah, if you want to have normal blood sugar, like I want to have a normal blood sugar starting now for the next 6 months. Yeah, you can do a cleanse, a detox program, a water cleanse, a broth cleanse. I've had a lot of people do broth cleanse and completely reverse their diabetes abnormal and test normal with no insulin resistance in 30 days on a broth cleanse. So there are ways to do that. So if you want to fix it now, I had a guy that needed right away kind of thing. He wanted to get a commercial driver's license, they wouldn't give it to him because he had sleep apnea and diabetes and high blood pressure. In 30 days on just broth cleanse, he all of those were reversed completely, and he got his license. So yeah, you can do that.
Bernadette says, Bernadetta, please explain insulin resistance. Okay.
Your cells are independent. Every single cell is independent, and they have their own way of doing things, and they generally conform to what the body wants and everything. So, but a cell is completely surrounded by fat, that's the membrane, and sugar is water soluble, not fat soluble. So sugar cannot get into the cell. So you can have hundreds. So your blood sugar could be 500, and your cell could be totally starving. There could be nothing in there. So your body has to have a way of getting that sugar into the cells. So what it does is it has a port, and this port is always closed until insulin comes and unlocks it, opens the port, and lets the sugar into the cells. So then if you have high insulin over a long period of time with type 2 and high sugar over a long period of time, then sugar's going in the cell, going in the cell, going in the cell, because the door is open and it all just goes in the cell. And so the cell is filling up and filling up and filling up with sugar, and then it gets overfull and it goes, okay, we're done. We are done with this. So the port's open and it just blocks it from the inside. Okay, so now nothing can get in, and you can put more insulin on there and open up that door more, but it's closed from the inside. It's locked from the inside. So insulin can't open it up anymore. So now you can't get sugar into the cells anymore. So where is it going? Well, the blood sugar starts going up and up and up and up and up because the cells are just done. We can't take any more. We're blocking out all that. So if the cells can't take up sugar, then the blood sugar goes up as you eat, just blood sugar going up, going up, going up, going up. That's insulin resistance, because the insulin's high, and it's unlocking all the doors, but they're all blocked from the inside. That's insulin resistance.
We need to add that to our list of questions on the Barton webinar page. I'm thinking that was really good.
Yeah, it was great.
I just had a question. Okay, a couple of things. Someone is asking about the cleanses. When he says water cleanse, it's just water, drinking just water. And if he says broth cleanse, you can buy broth now, bone broth, etc., or you can just make it. You can just Google homemade bone broth. I think it's probably the easiest way.
It's really easy. I make it. I make it. My wife buys it, but I make it.
We do both. I keep some containers in like our storage. Like if I just need a little bit, and I don't have any frozen or whatever, then I just go grab it. Okay. Another thing, a couple questions. Can you bring your blood sugar down by exercising?
Okay. Thank you for that question. That's a great question. The answer is yes. Exercise works kind of like insulin, but without insulin. So if you're insulin resistant, and those are the ports are blocked from the inside, there is another way to get sugar into the cells from exercise. So as you exercise, you open up more avenues for sugar to get into the cells. So what does that do? It lowers your blood sugar. So it actually, in some people, it's dramatic. When they exercise, their blood sugar will just drop down fast because the muscles will start sucking up all the sugar in their blood. Other people don't have as much of that response. And there's hormonal reasons, there's exercise reasons, there's a lot of reasons for that. How many ports they have, how much insulin resistance they have. So it's all different, but yes, exercise is a great way to lower blood sugar.